Crime, Cocktails, and BS. I'm your host, Kaisa. That's my co-host, Alex, and we have a guest, Rob, joining us. We'll introduce you in a minute, but kicking it off, we're going to talk about Vanderpump Villa, which is a meld of Below Deck, early Vanderpump Rules, and Lindsay Lohan's Beach Club. Kind of more trashy, though. Lisa Vanderpump returns with a fresh staff at Castello Rosato. The episode features return of Stassi Schroeder, who we haven't seen since Vanderpump Rules, along with her husband Beau, and all new staff. This season is a little different. They're offering a $30K bonus for the best employee of the summer, and it kind of adds some tension to the season. We have Rob here with us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast and yourself and where we can listen
of course.
to you?
I love talking about myself, which whatever. Some people love that. And anyway, I have a podcast called Vanderpump Robs. I've been doing it since 2018. Google says 2020, but that's because I put a bunch of episodes behind the paywall. And the thing is that I got sucked into Vanderpump Rules around season 6, and now I think it's like my special interest, but just Bravo reality TV in general, because it's such a, and I know this is Hulu, Vanderpump Villa, but it's, it's its own sort of spinoff. And I find the Vanderpump Rules and like millennial Bravo space reality TV fascinating, probably because I'm an elder millennial. And there's just so much that goes into, and these people are much younger on Vanderpump Villa, but like Lisa Vanderpump has like surrounded herself with people who like entered into the working world during like multiple financial crises. And I think that like Lisa's not a good person. She has good moments, but like she definitely knows how to be like, you want to be a star? Follow me. Yeah. I'll make you a star. And Vanderpump Villa is like such a unique take on a Lisa Vanderpump show. And I know I've gone off the rails a little bit, so I'll wrap it up with Vanderpump Robs is the podcast, and patreon.com/Vanderpump Robs is where you get all the content.
Yay! Take a listen. So we're covering episodes 1 and 2 of Vanderpump Villa. We're just kind of giving our first impression.
Yeah.
So why are there so many staff members? That's my question. There weren't this many last season. So
and why did they only bring back a few people from last season and not? Because here's the thing, I'm friends with Steven, who is in season 1, and maybe this will make me bias a little bit, but no matter what, you gotta give a staff on a Lisa Vanderpump show 2 seasons, unless it's something egregious, like Eric the manager, total trash bag human being, did not need to come back, and they were still finding their feet in season 1. Like they wanted to be on TV, but they actually, a majority of these people did work in the service industry. Steven is a like hospitality manager at a bunch of places in Vegas, and he even introduced me to Marciano, who was serving tables at another restaurant in Vegas. Like, and this was after season 2 filmed. Like, these people are in the service industry. I don't know why we saw season 1 and go, we really need to change it up a bit. It's very weird.
Yeah, and then replacing people from season 1 who've had limited to no experience.
Yeah.
But would apparently make great TV, I guess. I mean, that brings in Hagen. I mean, first person who, it says he quits his corporate job to just do this and try to work for Lisa. So you end up getting like more fans of it trying to, and then clearly made a good impression in the interviews and are now on the show.
Yeah. I think what made Vanderpump Rules so successful is like we started to really get to know the characters. So I don't like that they're switching it up so much. They're making it more like a game show with the money prize. And like it's a little bit more game showy.
That was my big problem with season 1 too, is that like they didn't know what they wanted the show to be. And now they kind of figured out what they want the show to be. But then they're also bringing in these new people that they're like, they'll be really good on TV. They're like desperate enough to be like Hagen doesn't seem desperate, but Hagen seems like I have star potential, and I think Stassi would want to hang out with me.
Yeah.
And there's like on the other side, Aiden too, right? Aiden is someone who thinks they've got it all figured out, like they're very in touch with their emotions and whatnot.
Very attuned. Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't know how to do their job. And so it's this weird balance of what do we want on this show? I think Tiffany Maddox from Trend Lightly, when she came on to cover season 1 with me, she said it best. She's like, the show is wearing like 5 hats. And you think that would be the easy thing to fix. But instead of doing that, they like fixed the weird stuff and then just added more complications to the show.
Seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that there's still so much like alcohol use when there's been chaos amongst the Bravo shows and alcohol and all of that. Of course, I love the messiness, and I'm
Sure.
a trash human who likes to watch people make poor decisions while drunk. It's just like strange. I don't know. I feel like we're going back in time, but also, melding multiple different like themes. It's very strange.
Well, I had a thought that this crops up with me every now and again when I see like people who really want to be performative on the shows rather than like, I don't like the word authentic because like I think people use it incorrectly. Like you can be authentically an asshole, but like in the way that, so back in the town I grew up in, there was like a small town paper, right? And it was kind of like the indie paper, right? You know, you'd have your music reviews of local bands. You'd be like, what's hot in the college town tonight? And there would always be like the style scout, right? And it would be, 2 different people like, what's your style? Where do you get your your influences from? And it would be like the very most basic thing in the world. And I remember being at a coffee shop. All right. Very cool. And one guy came in with the paper who was like an indie darling in the small town and was like, did you see I'm in Style Scout, to the barista? And I was like, oh God. And I look at it and he's obviously like dressed up for the Style Scout in this like indie sleazy sort of way. And they're like, oh, funny. Yeah. Like kind of placating him, but also being like, this is great. And then he's like, did you see where I said my influences were Abraham Lincoln? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is what I get from like people like Aiden or Hagen or Ciotti. Like, these are people who are like, I think I know how to play the part of a reality star, but also I'm going to let you know. Like, I'm going to let you know that like I know, and it's really bad. And Marciano was kind of that way last season too. I'm surprised that at least in these first 2 episodes, Marciano seems to be like one of the least pathetic people on the show. He's still pathetic, humbled. But humbled. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, he's still playing the same role in the way of like with him, the dynamic between him and Hannah, and Lisa already saying like, I just need them to not fight in front of the guests. And the first night, it's like everyone can hear them screaming, which is wonderful. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I think this happens on any reality show that's had multiple seasons. We've seen it on Housewives. We've seen it on competitive shows where people essentially like study how these shows work and how the dynamics work. And they think they can come in, they've beat the interview process, that they're going to come in and be these wonderful characters, but then they end up turning into 1-season wonders a lot of the time. And I think we kind of see that with, well, maybe not Bridget, essentially. We only got 1 episode, but I mean, I think that's with Aiden, especially. I mean, should we just kind of move into like all these people in general?
Yeah.
His conversation with Stassi by the pool.
Oh God.
I've never felt so old in my life to hear him. Kaisa wrote down a bunch of quotes, but the one that stuck with me the most was, I don't need Wi-Fi to feel connected.
Oh my God.
Stassi was just like, what the fuck is this dude saying? And I was like, thank you. I thought I was losing it.
He's
like saying that so genuinely.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
He is speaking in Instagram captions.
Yeah.
It's him thinking ahead, planning, like knowing that he's feeling emotional, and he's like, okay, they're gonna come film me. How do I make this memorable and not giving anything like true to himself and wanting to be memed, right? Like wanting, and this is the sort of thing where it's like nobody likes someone that comes off as calculated. And you can deny it up and down, but you are planning this, and that's the problem.
Exactly. What was the other quotes, Kaisa? There was one that was like,
look at the GPS that is within yourself.
You get one, okay? I'll give you one of them, but you can't do more than that. The whole crop top storyline
oh god, yeah.
he wrote a whole note where he like got his first round of these out of the way. He's like, okay, and now how do I do it again with Stassi? She's the star, right? I hate it.
I did love her reaction though. She was us. She was like, what the fuck, bro?
And I never thought I would relate to Stassi, but like in this moment, I was like, damn, we are all Stassi here watching this guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy. This is the Abraham Lincoln guy. You know what I mean? This is the guy who gets scouted for his local paper and then goes and shows everyone in the town square.
Yeah. I mean,
embarrassing.
What did he compare himself? He compared himself to
a clitoris that's so sensitive.
Yeah. Like right out the gate, first thing he's like, I'm just so
wonderful.
Like, okay, so you're that guy. All right.
He's also like subtly nodding to like, and I know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So I know the word. So no, you're not going to hear any other guys say that, you know.
Yeah.
They probably don't care. They're not an affectionate lover, but I am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know where the clitoris is. But yes. Do you think the letter was like a curated thing from production? It kind of felt like they wanted to keep egging him on to flirt with
Polly,
yeah.
Because I've never watched The Challenge, so I don't know.
You're not missing anything.
Okay. I mean, I watched Real World versus Road Rules, The Challenge in like 2001, but I've never followed along.
Yeah, it's like we were watching the original ones, and when it was also just Road Rules and Real World.
Yeah.
And now it's still on, and the challenge is still on.
Yeah. And wasn't Faith on it for like multiple seasons from Vanderpump Rules?
Yep.
See, maybe I should. So the people who do watch the challenge are like, you got to watch the challenge. And I feel like that's me when I try to tell any of my Bravo friends, like, Survivor's actually really good. And they're like, no,
you're in the right place.
Okay, good.
I love Survivor.
I think Survivor's trying to find its footing the past couple of seasons, gearing up for number 50, but it's still entertaining. I think that this whole situation is just uncomfortable. Like, I don't like anyone here. And aren't I supposed to be able to like find my favorite person? Like, even Andre was really cool in the first season, and now he just kind of seems like a fuck boy. He's in the machine of the reality TV world.
No,
Grace,
for sure.
Grace was great. And especially in these first two episodes, we get like a couple of scenes with her, but come on.
Yeah. I mean, and then you jump into like all of the, well, I guess, should we give Bridget 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
That might be more time than she got on the show.
I think so. I dubbed her the one episode wonder because that's all she is. And already like walking in when she said, I come off as like ditzy and like I put on a Valley Girl accent to like introduce myself to people, but I'm actually really smart and I worked at Michelin restaurants. The pictures they used of her, I wouldn't consider what a chef would use to promote themselves. It looked like she had like a slutty chef costume on in one of them. And
let's not shame women and their
I'm not trying to. I'm just
in clothing.
She's got a Spirit Halloween chef costume.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, that's it. But like not being able to figure out how to turn a stove on, and she's supposed to be the sous chef. I was kind of like, how much did you lie or embellish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and how much did Lisa say, you're going to be the sous chef. So, get some training or whatever. Like there's so much of these things that you never know where the lie begins and the truth begins and ends and all of that. I mean, you look at Marciano, like I'm a DJ now, and they cut to his like DJ video of him all oiled up in like a closet. I think like literally someone's like, oh, we got to get a scene of him kind of DJing. So why wouldn't, if that's manufactured, why wouldn't Bridget's photos of working in a kitchen be manufactured? But even if she did work at a Michelin star restaurant, that doesn't mean that she was a sous chef there. That doesn't mean that she had worked there for an extended period of time. But the fact is even if she did, she didn't know how to do the things that we were shown. And when it cuts to her being like, I've got like a million TVs going off in my head, and one of them is saying to do this, and I don't always listen to it. I wanted to be like, I'm not a doctor, but that seems like something you could be treated for.
Yeah.
There seems like some sort of attention deficit issue, and we've all but got that solved. You don't want all those TVs blaring. But I feel like she's a person who's like, I don't take medicine. I'm going to heal myself naturally.
It doesn't matter. I'm like a diagnosed ADHD person. So like you can still perform the tasks that you have learned. She couldn't turn on an oven. So she's claiming to be a sous chef, which she still is. I read an interview that she was cast like the night before. So maybe she was just like thrown in. And I don't know.
But well, that tells me that she was cast the night before because production and executives sat around the table and were like, how do we really like add a moment to the end of this first episode? We'll hire someone that we're going to fire immediately.
Yeah.
Because I've heard rumors that like on this show, pretty much all the storylines are set up ahead of time, which makes sense. You only have like 2 months. You can't just go in on a wing and a prayer, right? And then it's like, well, let's hope they play out. So I could totally imagine Bridget not being told, like, yeah, you're only going to be here for 1 episode and we're going to set you up for failure. Because quite frankly, if you've only worked in American kitchens too, like there are probably things that don't work the same way. Like maybe with a little bit of thought process, you could get it to work the same way. But
yeah, I was just thinking about like Below Deck, where they always show the chefs testing all the equipment beforehand, getting prepared. Yeah, I feel like she was not given that opportunity, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But that's funny that you say every storyline is planned out ahead, and that would totally make sense with the Sienna situation, because Sienna got Ciati. I cannot keep these names straight. Got him hired, and it makes sense that she probably brought him to Lisa or production and said, we've been hooking up and we might stay together for the show and like cause drama with our relationship. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, the rumor is that Steven from season 1 is why Hannah and Marciano are on the show. Because Steven he worked for a couple of Lisa's restaurants, or at least the Cocktail Garden, or one of the ones in Vegas, and like suggested, I don't remember exactly what it is, but like suggested Hannah, and then they were like, okay, who else could we get? Well, and I think he was like, well, she's got this like on again, off again boyfriend, Marciano, that would be great for the show. And I think there was supposed to be like some friendship trio or something going on there, but then they were just like, we need the Hannah Marciano. They broke up, but like they're still kind of figuring things out. And then of course Steven's not on this season, but like for as like silly as season 1 was, like he knew what he was doing, and he also talked a lot. Like they gave us the cut in the thing where he knew all the tea. And we never got that throughout any of the episodes. We only got it in the like reunion.
True. And I mean, I think also what maybe what's kind of missing is like how I think you hit the nail on the head. They brought those three in last season as that trio, almost like bringing that OG Vanderpump Rules vibe to it. And I think it's also been kind of reconfirmed this season with Hannah and Marciano coming back and Stassi having kind of like that 30,000 feet view of them being like, this is me and Jax, not actually saying it, but being like, you're in a toxic relationship. I've been here pretty much in the exact situation and I'm going to try to help Hannah, which I think Stassi kind of being a voice of reason is kind of like Kristen being the voice of reason on the Valley. It's like not something you would normally expect.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing them from a totally different point of view. And you're kind of like, okay, well, I see why she's here.
Yeah. What do we think about Stassi in this season? Like her role as like extended guest spy for Lisa Vanderpump.
I think she's right in saying that she was born to play this role.
Sure.
Because she was essentially doing it on Vanderpump Rules until she was fired. And now she's going to get paid to do it and live in Italy for 2 months. And I also just find it kind of strange and surreal that she's even back with Lisa. I mean, it sounds like maybe they worked on their relationship behind the scenes. But I mean, when Stassi got fired, it was a huge situation. I mean,
yeah, off with her head.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, if I put on my like Bravo tinfoil cap, which is not like a real conspiracy because it's like the most obvious thing in the world, it feels like Vanderpump Villa was only going to get one season. They're like, Lisa's like, you got to give me another season. I got to go to Italy. I need to do this. And they were like, well, you're going to have to really make it worth our while. And Lisa in a meeting was like, well, what if I got Stassi for the show? And they're like, okay, now we're talking. And then Stassi was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to come on one season of your show that's going to get canceled. So what's in it for me besides a vacation, which I could do on my own? I am a wealthy person. And they said, okay, Stassi, we'll give you a season of your show. And if it's successful, it goes on. And that's like what Stassi says or whatever that's supposedly coming out. So put all these pieces together. All right, I'll go for a vacation and, make nice with Lisa. Lisa's given me this deal to get my own show, essentially. Like that mends a lot of bridges. And then we get this. I don't see, of course, I haven't finished Vanderpump Villa season 2. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but my hope is that we set Stassi off to her show. She does not need to be on Vanderpump Villa. And we go into season 3 of Vanderpump Villa and we bring back the season 1 cast. And if there's anyone in season 2 that actually seems enjoyable, maybe they stay. Like I could see a Hagen staying.
Hagen,
right?
yeah, but I was gonna say Hagen was on Stassi's podcast like last week, so I think they're gonna keep him on for sure.
I just think Hagen needs to be, and maybe this happens later on, but I think Hagen needs to be humbled a little bit because there's just we love seeing someone who's like super confident kind of get it thrown back at them and then they become real, right? Like they're not a cartoon anymore. They're not this like over the top person. They are someone who's like, oh, there are stakes to being here, right? Like it's not all just like goofing off for the camera. And yeah, like, of course, like I said, bias. I want Steven to come back. I want Telly to come back. I want Priscilla to come back. I think there's a way that could work. And the Stassi thing, it ain't doing it for me. Like, I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad it's there, but it's not.
Yeah, it isn't as fun as I wanted it to be with Stassi there. But I think
what was the theory, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, like,
no.
Wasn't the theory that Stassi would have been the equivalent of a chief stew at this?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh no, she's not. She's just Lisa's spy and like permanent guest. Like that's not.
Yeah, she's kind of hanging around drinking Aperol spritz and
enjoying
her summer. Yeah, I think they made it seem like she'd have a more prominent role,
like manager role.
Yeah. And that's also what I was looking forward to. And I also don't feel like we're seeing her as much as I thought we were going to. And I mean, granted, yes, this has only been the first 2 episodes, and I know that there's some storylines coming with her and Beau at some point, but Yeah, I thought she'd definitely have more of like a Kate Chastain vibe
Yes.
going on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Kate Chastain on Vanderpump Villa
That would
That
be
would be
great.
would
great.
be amazing.
That would be
Hannah
incredible.
on Vanderpump Villa
Yes.
would be
Yes.
amazing. Now, at the end of season or episode 1, when we start seeing that, oh, there will be this like C-level
Mhm.
storyline with Stassi and Bo, when Bo's like, I just not feeling fulfilled. I want to
Yeah.
have a little bit of Bo. And Stassi gives the speech about like, well, don't you think that's antiquated to feel like the man has to be like this felt scripted,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
it
I
did.
think like within that relationship, they both understand like equality, right? Like there's no question that Bo isn't trying to say I feel emasculated, because like that wasn't his word at all. He's just like, I want to have something going on that I call my own. And this, affects Stassi in some way, but it's really just a storyline. And I know this like evolves into like Bo and his sister having a weird closeness or
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
it,
something.
yeah.
I don't know how we're getting from Bo
Yeah.
wants like a part-time job to that, but I
Yeah.
feel like we're seeing that the part-time job discussion was not a good storyline, and so we have to pivot to he's too close to his family members.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the personal storylines are annoying, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want the focus on what's happening with the staff. I mean, I
Mhm.
would say, at least I think in theory, another scripted storyline would be the Sienna, Grace triangle that really doesn't exist.
No.
Like,
Grace
Grace was
like
not
ended
interested
that.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like,
Mhm.
"No,
She was like, I'm all
okay."
set. I don't need you to gaslight me too. Like, we're
Yeah.
good.
Oh, we
And
flirted on night 1 with
yeah,
cocktails. Have
Yeah.
you never done that before,
yeah,
Ciati? Like, and they're like, when he was like, drunk in love, like it's like just
oh my
Yeah.
fucking just say. None of these, especially the men on these
God.
shows, can actively say the words they mean. They
Mhm.
have to like give it in these half-hearted quasi metaphor Wi-Fi for connection, relate it to a song. It's
Mhm.
so annoying. Now, to be fair, I know they're all in their 20s, and I was a big dumb asshole in my 20s as well. So, I mean, not
Yeah, me too.
maybe I
Everyone
wasn't
is.
Ciotti or Aiden or
Yeah,
anything, but I couldn't communicate. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You have to learn that sort of thing. And I really, really hope, although I'm sure Ciotti will watch this and go like, these people just don't understand me. But I
Yeah.
or he
hope
can tell us
they
off in
watch.
2 accents, so that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is up with that? It's giving Dorit vibes.
Whew.
Oh my god.
If it
Like,
were any other accent
Yeah.
besides British,
right?
we would be in, like, he
Oh,
would
yeah.
be big trouble. Like
Yeah.
this is, and like honestly, not quite off the hook even for that,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
he's like playing into something that I'm not sure. I don't know. It's quicksand and it's a slippery slope after that.
He's saying he traveled around for about 10 years and picked up the accent, and then why would you hide it then? I'm just very confused about
Yeah,
all
I
of it.
didn't understand his like his response to Lisa and his reasoning behind it, saying like, "Oh, I think they'll like me more or relate to me more if I sound American."
It got me the job. That's
Yeah.
what it, you
Yeah,
know?
that's all it was.
Well, it also is showing like, is Lisa dumb? Like, is she giving someone a job because she thinks they're British? Like, is that what's going on here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And then
funny.
also, wouldn't Sienna know which accent he like uses more? And
Yeah.
that the scene with them at his like MVP dinner outing, which by the way, hiding it from everyone was just also the weirdest choice.
Well,
Like,
the whole thing was so immature of
yeah.
Yeah.
like them to be like, why are you being so shady about going to town? Like it's such a big deal. Like,
Yeah. Going to town.
Yeah.
They're at summer camp and they get to
yeah,
go pick up the
Seriously.
groceries for everyone at Lake Nabagaman. The going to town like secrecy of like I'm picking my. This is very Survivor, right? Like choose your 4 people to go to, you know, where good
to
things
have with
happen.
pizza and
Yeah.
beer. Yeah.
Yeah. And early in episode 1, when I think it's Aiden trying to just like bond with Ciotti, and he's just like keeps wiping the same spot on the same table, and he's like, we got work to do. We got work to do. We got to get our work done. It's like this is giving like antisocial behavior unless someone wants to like go to the bone zone with me and like then I'll talk to them a little bit more. And like it's a very calculated way of being accepted onto the show but not the group.
Didn't they update his tagline to be like not here to make friends or something like that?
Oh, the editors are so wonderfully shady.
Yeah.
And I'm living for every moment. Like when Aiden's talking to Polly and they changed both of their like taglines underneath their names to crop top enthusiast.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know. Why did we also not get any of the, well, I mean, I guess I know, but like we didn't meet any of the other quote Olympians. We just meet the people from the challenge.
That is a note that I had. I was like, why did Lisa introduce them as the Olympians? And then it's people from the challenge, and they barely showed any Olympians, just glimpses of Olympians.
Just say we've got 2 people who star on the challenge and they're friends, and guess what? They're all Olympians. But like we're not, when it comes to mom talk, it's not like we've got a couple of influencers who have also been on television. You know, it's not. Just do it. You know, you'd sell more stuff. Maybe there's a rights thing because like Paramount and the challenge, like the same way we can't really say Vanderpump Rules. Another rumor, another quick rumor. Sources not cited, so this is alleged. But someone who came in, I think part of the way through in season 1, it's rumored they were like, oh yeah, you know, I've dated, you know, managers of Sir, and I've hung out with people at Vanderpump, and like it's always been, you know, I know how Vanderpump Rules works and how the filming, and like Lisa had to stop them and be like, yeah, never say Vanderpump Rules. We're not making Vanderpump Rules. So you need to understand that we are making Vanderpump Villa, and we will not be discussing Vanderpump Rules. And I was like, wow, okay, so this is not just legal, but like Lisa wants to make a different show.
Not sure
which
it's
is
working.
stupid. Yeah, it's not at all.
Yes, especially now she's like crossing over with Stassi. I mean, also, how can you not mention? I get legal reasons, but I mean, that's how essentially like, yes, Lisa was on Beverly Hills, but it's like you couldn't, I can't imagine Vanderpump Rules not being there. And Lisa, like, I think more people now think of Lisa with Vanderpump than with Beverly Hills.
Yeah, more time on one show than the other.
Well, I don't think she'll ever come back to Beverly Hills, that's for sure.
No, she would have to be like,
no, Kyle would have to be gone.
Kyle would have to be gone. And I don't even watch housewife shows. Like, that's the thing. It's like, but I still know that like Kyle needs to be gone. There needs to be a huge regime shift. Now, Lisa going on Denise Richards' new show. That might be funny.
That would be good.
But I guess it's more of a family affair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that worth watching? I've popped in and out of episodes of
I've only popped in and out, but one person told me like I have to watch it. And I was like, well,
it's honestly just really silly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really silly. It's family dynamic. And then I mean Charlie Sheen's in an episode, which is just kind of strange and wild to see for a minute. Because he's still nuts.
Yeah.
Adonis blood.
And honestly, he kind of reminds me of Britney Spears now, like both of them kind of having those moments and now kind of regressing to a period where they can't really get out of it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's wild. Yeah. It's wild. I got sucked in. I wasn't necessarily like trying to watch it. It was just kind of like came on next. And I was like, okay, I'll sit here. It's on. I'll do other things. Right. And then I got watching it. So if there's nothing else for you to watch, check it out. I think it's like only 8 episodes. So
a ringing endorsement.
Yes.
If there's absolutely nothing else on, this will put something on the screen.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about Villa?
Yeah.
Do you also get way more than season 1? Season 2, I get summer camp vibes, like,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
usually but it's not even like summer camp, because most of the times when you're in your youth, you go to a summer camp, especially if it's an overnight camp. It's like very split by sex, right? Like there's a girls camp, there's a boys camp, and at least that's very 90s, but like that's essentially how they operated. And this feels like when those camps were able to be like, well, we're gonna have a dance night, and both camps are coming together, and like immediately people are like, well, I have to find my girlfriend or boyfriend for the night.
Yep.
And that's what I'm getting here, is that like they all get together, they're on vacation, and they're like, well, inevitably I have to find a partner,
Yep.
I
Mhm.
have to do something. But no one at all is just like, cool, I've met all these new people, let's make as much money as possible, let's make a good TV show. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but how can I also have sex? This is
Exactly. You
and
know
I'm
what?
sure that's part of it, right? That's part of the
Yeah,
storyline, the romantic relationships and whatnot. But
of course.
I don't like seeing adults flirt. It's
No, it's so
especially,
awkward.
Ew.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what scene popped into my head thinking about like that summer camp scenario is when all the guys are in the bar talking about all the girls, and then Bridget's like down there listening around the corner, and then she grabs all the other girls to come down and listen. I was like, I know
And
we're
they're
in
in their
our 20s.
PJs.
Yes. And I'm like, I get we're in our 20s. We're now out of our teens. This is a big deal for all of us. However, this is not normal behavior. And then it's also during any time they're like partying with the guests and having like the drinking games and stuff also weirdly feels that way. It's just there's a
Yeah.
lot more alcohol involved.
That's also the thing about all of like both of these seasons.
Mhm.
If I went on like a great French or Italian vacation, like I don't want to party with like the people who are like working at the hotel. I feel like they would be like obligated to do
Yeah.
that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? No, go take a break. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kinda do that on Below Deck too, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's more entertaining and it feels more natural there because they're stuck on a boat together, but,
Sure.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to go. It's like
like, here it's like it's uncomfortable. I
Go
don't
to
Yeah.
know.
town.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a whole city near you. Go check it out. And it also feels like with the obligation part, it also feels like the flirting is also a part of like the obligation to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would make me, I'm uncomfortable in general, but that would just make me extra uncomfortable in that situation.
Yeah. It
I
Yeah.
don't
feels
know.
more cringe because they're not friends. I think that's the
Yeah.
whole premise of how it's not working. Like, they need to be friends. It needed to be a group of friends that has known each other for a long time, you know?
Could you imagine going on like a vacation and then like meeting a server at the hotel like Marciana, who like pulls you to the side and is just like, I'm having so much trouble in my relationship, and I overheard
Yeah.
you talking about you having trouble in your relationship. Can we just like sit by the pool for a second? You'd be like, I guess.
No.
What do you do
No.
in that scenario?
Yeah. Like, and then of course you're like, well, I'm gonna be brutally honest, because who the hell is this person? I
Yeah,
don't
what
Yeah.
care.
else you gotta do? Just gonna tell them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's such a weird, surreal vibe that in a normal situation you wouldn't necessarily run into. And if you did, you'd be like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't need to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then I think like the last person that I feel like is trying to make an impact, but really I don't know is yet, is Dominic, especially in that first night, like inserting himself into like Hannah and Marciano's drama and being like, just being a little shit stir. But in I find him like kind of silly in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Dominic is doing it right,
Yeah.
Mhm.
whereas other people are trying to make themselves the star, or
Mhm.
Yeah.
like to put the spotlight on him. Dominic seems to be the person that's like, look, we're making a whole show here, and now I'm going to put myself in the middle of these other two people, but it's not going to be about me. Like, they can make it about me. if they want to start blaming me for things, it's like trajectories off. Like I can't go full force at the camera like Ciati, but if I somehow piss off Hannah and then she can't stop talking about me, great. I'm here for next season. And I think they're doing some really stupid stuff in this show. Like whenever we see that scene where he's like, he's gaslighting you or whatever, hip word they like to use. They cut to him like in an interview scene, like downing a glass of wine and being like, he's like, now I can talk about it. And it like cuts back and it's like, do we actually think that like they pulled him from the street? No, we know how editing works, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit over the top stuff with this show, but I think Dominic he's about the only person of the new cast that I can stand. And he's still stupid and ridiculous.
Yeah. He's also one of the older ones, which is saying a lot because he's 31. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that his frontal lobe's been developed for a little bit longer or actually is fully developed, unlike some of the other people on this cast. So
he can have like complex thoughts. He can realize
not comparing himself to Wi-Fi or women's body parts. So yeah.
Maybe helps him out a bit. This running joke throughout all of season 1 because at first I thought like Marciano was 31 and Hannah was 22, and I was like, oh, he's just like. And then like halfway through the season, I found out that like, no, they were like just a year apart. He was like 23 and she was 22. And I just kept running with it because I just found it funnier to think like Marciano was in his 30s and just trying to like chase after someone who's 22.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
It really does. I mean, it seems like that with all of them. And then you find out their ages and you're like, oh, this is just stupid people doing things. Yeah.
Immature.
Will you keep watching? Are you both going to keep watching?
I have
to. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. I love Mormon Wives, so I'm going to I want to see anything that's a spinoff of that. I'll probably start covering Mormon Wives, at least in part, discussing it on my podcast a little bit. Not as much as I go into detail in like the Valley, but like it's going to be something I want to talk about. And I think I have a feeling that elements that happen on Villa will at least be discussed on their show. So
I mean, and then they also, well, I may have watched a bit ahead. They talk about the new season a bit during one of their like, even though they're not drinking, they're talking about it on Vanderpump Villa as if they have been drinking, and they're like, oh, you'll find out more next season for us. And it's like, okay.
All right. Well, I know the one girl's like moving away.
Yeah, so Jen's moving to Arizona, and Taylor wasn't on the Taylor's not on the trip to Italy, which is
I wanted to see Taylor on this trip.
I know, same. I was kind of excited to see her kind of out of the Utah element, but she's not there. And then this coming season, they're adding 2 of the women who are part of the swinging controversy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
So that's going to be
that's what I was like really surprised wasn't a part of the first season. So I'm very much into that. And then what was the other, like the woman that always like was like the foil to Taylor? I forget her name. Who?
Whitney.
Is she on season 2? Yeah. Is she
I don't know. She keeps being in their TikToks and stuff. But won't say if she's on the show. So I'm not sure. Because there was a huge rumor that she wasn't coming back because she didn't like that she was the villain. But then she was hanging out with Whitney Rose from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And then, we have enough Whitneys in our Bravo-verse right now. It's like, we're good.
They're all on their healing journey.
Healing
journey, yeah. But I don't know, maybe she's not coming back, which is why they brought on the 2 girls who didn't want to be on the first season, but they kind of need that tension. Or extra tension, because these girls already know how to fight over Diet Coke mixes and
I gotta get to a swig.
Yeah. God. Oh, love it. I can't wait for that show to come back though. It's gonna be so good.
Just a couple weeks from this recording, I think, right?
Yay. Exciting. Should we talk about your journey as a Bravo content creator? Anything you want to tell us about your story?
Wow. Well, here's the thing. I've learned that people love me or hate me, and that's quite all right. And I have recently become more of a hater on the podcast, I think, but I still love these shows. I just really want to like call out like poor decisions, mostly by production, because Jax has always
Mhm.
been terrible. Like I'm
Oh
never
yeah.
expect him to be anything other than a trash person. Uh, but I think that doing the podcast has really informed me on how these shows have been made. Like I always know that there's always call times, there's always like the nuts and bolts to actually making a show. But then when you start realizing like showrunners for Vanderpump Rules also worked on like Cupcake Wars and The Hills, and like this has just been their career. Like there's no mask about how things are set up, like we talked about in Vanderpump Villa. You're gonna have some storylines ahead of time. You have to plan where you're shooting things. You have to plan who's gonna be in a scene. And over the years of like following the show, I really try and straddle that line between what we're actually seeing on screen and what that means for people versus all of the other information that gets put out there. And I generally avoid all of the stuff online and I talk about what's happening on the screen because I am not one of the Bravo content creators that like spills tea, has breaking news. Throw a stone on Instagram, and that's what you get from like Bravo Instagram accounts. And that's great for them. I don't want to be in that race. I don't want to be like feeling like I constantly have to post because Jax left a comment somewhere. Doesn't interest me, but I do want to like keep up with what I feel is the thing that's entertaining me on these shows. So, like recently, I've done Southern Charm, Southern Hospitality, like the newer seasons, Summer House, and now we're on the Valley. And we have extended episodes where like after we go behind the paywall on Patreon and we kind of like find some things that have been talked about online that week, and we kind of go through with a little bit less of a filter on our like real thoughts on like I'll say my favorite thing we talked about on one of the recent episodes is Jesse Solomon's Instagram post
Oh my
about
god.
being a musician
Oh,
and
with his new song that he
with
came
his
out
new
with?
song,
Oh
and
my
it
god.
is
Yeah.
I was
Not great.
I'll say I wasn't very nice, but he's
That's
also
okay.
it's because I was terrified that he also promised to release a new song every month for the rest of 2025.
No.
He's gonna be the Michael
Oh
Bublé of
yeah,
this
he
Nothing.
generation.
of
He's
course, and look how well that's gonna do for Jesse Solomon. Like there's an do we not see the embarrassment of like Bravo musicians? Like does not anyone ever look at Kim Zolciak or Sheena
Yeah.
Shea or like these
Yeah.
people that were like, so so you want to go down that path? That's the
Mhm.
path you okay. Also, and now Luke from Summer House and Winter House, who got
Yeah.
fired or whatever, he's posting about doing like a rhythm and blues album. And dude, I just do it. Do it. You don't got like I don't care.
It doesn't have to be
Maybe
the
if
whole
it's
thing.
good, then you can post about it. But like
Yeah.
y'all are getting too excited. You're getting too excited about this boring stuff. Anyway, all that to being said, my journey has been that it used to be just recapping the show and being like, look, I'm gonna make fun of these people or I'm gonna have fun and like look how stupid reality TV is. And now I'm very much invested. I very much care about the form. I care about the genre. I think it's really actually important to specifically American culture and millennial culture
Mhm.
Yeah.
that it like really we can learn some lessons about ourselves as like highfalutin and snobby as that sounds. And sometimes I'm mean.
Yeah.
We
We're
are petty
petty.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Okay,
It's
good.
yeah, honestly, it helps so much.
Yeah.
And just to jump off your point about the musicians, don't we have enough DJs?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also that. Yeah.
1 was enough, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern, and we don't need more. Like
No.
James,
I
Kendall,
think,
Kyle,
yeah,
and now Marciano, and I'm sure there are others I'm forgetting,
Oh God. I'm
but
sure there are.
it doesn't need to happen.
I think they just
Kyle.
make money off of it. Like, there is a large amount of people that will buy anything branded with some of these characters. So they are just
True.
getting money from that small group of people. It's just like a quick cash thing, I think,
Well, I
honestly.
think between DJing and podcasting, that's the thing. Like, there's a way. How do you want to make your side money that doesn't compete too much with your Bravo contract, right? Okay, I can make $9,000, 5 times a year by just sitting down and doing some podcasts, right? I can make $9,000 for one gig DJing, right? And it's like that just enough, like low lift, high amount of money.
Mhm.
And with Kyle Cook being his turn to DJ, it's like in Summer House when he was like citing like, Diplo's got a song called that. It's like, are you really like citing it's 2025, man.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you should have gotten in. Like, look, I'm not gonna shame too much, but like, no one gives a shit about like your musical choices, and
Yeah.
quite frankly, Diplo, like,
Yeah.
You're so deep and
Yeah.
yeah.
emotional.
Really.
And it's not even like he's got a song with lyrics like this because it's Diplo. It's like he's got a song titled this. Like,
Yeah.
cool, great. Can't wait for Kyle Cook to find out about Skrillex and start
Yeah.
talking to people
God.
about that.
Dead Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead Mouse 5, whatever it is.
Oh my God.
Um,
Bass Nectar. He's
Yeah.
like
Bass
really on the
Nectar.
Yeah.
precipice of this.
Confession, I was a huge Bass Nectar fan.
Of
I snuck
course.
into
Who
the concert.
wasn't?
I mean, it was
Jackson,
2011. That's
yeah.
what was being fed to everyone, right? Like,
You're
Yeah.
not
that's
saying like in 2025, you know who I'm like absolutely obsessed with right
But
now?
yeah.
Bass Nectar, and making it sound like it's a whole new thing.
this week. I'm going
Mhm.
to a Bass Nectar show and a Hosier show. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be great.
Oh gosh. Well, we have some really quick, fun, rapid fire questions to ask you about Bravo if
We
you're
do this
into
at
it.
the end of every episode
I'm
to
ready.
throw us off our
Yes,
game. Something
I'm ready
random.
for it.
Okay, they're really basic, but what's your all what's your all-time favorite Bravo moment in
All-time
all
favorite Bravo moment. Oh, interesting. Wow. Well, I know it's going to have to come from Vanderpump Rules, and I feel like there might be some recency bias because someone mentioned this. Oh God, it's there's so many good ones, but I do love Lala at I think it was Katie and Schwartz's wedding reception when Kristen gives the drunk rambly speech, and
Bravo. Oh yeah,
Lala's just like, wrap it up, wrap it
that was
up.
funny.
That was great. But I know that like you ask me tomorrow, it would be something else, right? But
Right.
that's
Yeah.
one on my mind currently. Recap Rodeo, a podcast I really like. They were equating that scene to the episode of The Last of Us
Oh my
where Joel is just like and Joel's talking to Abby and she's like got her big speech going. He's like, would you just get it fucking over with? And
Yeah,
like
God.
absolutely.
Oh my
What's
God.
yours, Alex?
Well, now I'm thinking of that moment with Lala, and it made me go straight to Real Housewives of New York when Dorinda is screaming Giovanni at the stage because Luann has stolen Giovanni from her.
Uh-huh.
uh-huh.
She's just screaming the whole time, Giovanni, Giovanni. And Tinsley's like, what is happening? Uh, I might have to go with that one because that's the only one that's like stuck in my mind right now. Or anytime, like, I don't know. I do love that moment during an OC reunion where Tamra just starts screaming at Vicky. Like, that's my opinion. Like, that's
Yeah,
always good, even though I'm not the
unhinged.
biggest fan of Tamra. But I'm in those two. Like Rob said, tomorrow it'll be completely different. Next hour, I'll think of something else. But
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm at. What about you?
Mine's just Luann falling in the bushes.
I hope
It-
we get
Real
more of
Housewives
that.
of New York is the only housewives show I've seen all the way from the beginning. I guess Salt Lake too, but I've kind
uh-huh.
of
Salt Lake's
fallen
easier
off.
because there's only 5.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you still did you watch through with the new people? on New York?
No, I tried and I couldn't do it. And maybe that's on me. Maybe it'll get better. I hear
No.
some other people might be filming for the new season, and that would be something I would
We hope
potentially
so.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah. We
Mhm.
need new people. It's not working how it is.
I
Yeah.
couldn't stand Bryn, quite frankly. And
She
that was season 1, and then I saw what happened in season 2 and I was like, "Oh, maybe my antenna were correct on this."
You were ahead of a lot of other people, including us. That's for sure.
Okay, next question, guys. One cast member you would like to have a drink or coffee with?
Wow.
If you had to pick one, who would it be?
I'm not gonna lie. Tom Sandoval.
Wow.
Ooh.
Not because I necessarily want to like be friends with Tom Sandoval, but if he agrees to like a sit down with me, a podcaster and like Bravo fan, I'm hoping there's some sort of like implicit idea that like we're going to talk about it. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to be here to like call you a jerk,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm coming to the table too. And I have some theories I want to know if he'll clear up for me, because I do think, I say this a lot, I think Rachel was a scapegoat. I do think that him and Rachel hooked up, but I think she was a scapegoat for a much more fluid friend group.
That's a good one.
Interesting. I wish I could hear more about that now, but
I know. Honestly, he might. If you threw it at
yeah,
him, he might. He doesn't
you have to
mind.
pay him.
Yeah. And he still has a lot of loyal fans. I was looking through our Instagram the other day and we put a post up about him because we were talking about him on an episode. And there were people on it, they were commenting, being like, I'm so happy he was on Traders. He has such a heart of gold. Like, it's so great to see him in such a great
on.
light. And I'm sitting there reading it like, I don't know what universe I'm in, but
Yeah.
I've jumped
Like
timelines or something.
you do not have to like be happy for someone that's on TV. Like it's not your
Yeah.
job. Like
Yeah.
very weird.
If I was the first person that came into my head, because I was thinking just Vanderpump, would be Ken. Like, I want to talk
Oh
to
my
Ken.
god. Yeah.
Yes.
And he'd
I
have to
Be
be
kind
like,
of
like,
blah,
do.
blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to talk to Ken. But if I like opened it up, maybe Nene Leaks.
Ooh.
I'd sit with her. I'd want to know all about that. Yeah.
I would have a drink with Sonia.
Oh, well, she's the straw
That would be
that stirs the
entertaining.
drink. You know?
Yeah.
By the end,
Be
you might be
entertaining.
hired as her new intern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could happen.
One more question, then we'll let you go, Rob. What is the most underrated person in the Vanderpump universe? Or
The
who
most
is the most? Yeah.
underrated person in the Vanderpump universe. Honestly, I think, and of course we all talked about an episode of season 8 on my show, and I'm season 8 head right now because that's kind of like what my bonus episodes are. So if that's where my head goes, this is why. But I think that Danica from season 8 is very underrated and could have had way more potential on that show if the Bravo fans weren't like, I hate new cast members all the time. She was not Brett. She was not Max. She wasn't, and Dana's fine. Like, Dana didn't get, Charlie was good, but I think if Danica got another season, I mean, like, Danica came in when cameras were off and like shouted and shoved her boyfriend. That's something you would expect someone to do because they knew cameras were up. She did that when cameras were down. So imagine if we got more scenes with Danica. That's wild. So I think she's underrated in the Vanderpump Rules world. Would have loved to have seen her more. I did some interview that's lost to the echoes of time with Danica during COVID lockdown. And if I could ever find that, I'd like to listen to it again. I probably was terrible at interviewing people at that point in time, but I was, if only we could get Danica back on. Maybe she chose not to come back. I don't know.
I agree. I was thinking back to season 8 because that's really when we only had new people that there was more of an uproar about, because they brought Lala in and she ended up sticking around. I mean, granted, she definitely made an impact right away. But yeah, I'd say Danica or Dana. And I mean, really, Dana's doing well for herself now with her podcast with Katie and all that. But yeah, I think if they had just kept Danica on for a little bit longer, I think the fandom would have accepted her more.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say Peter, just because I love him,
Yeah.
and but we don't want to corrupt him with the.
Yeah, I like Peter a lot. I almost think that Peter, well, I know he was done dirty in season 10 and then like asking him to work for free in season 11. And that's why he wasn't on season 11. You know, they were like, can you just sign the release and we'll film around you and stuff? And he was like, well, no, you guys paid me every season leading up to this. If you want me, pay me. And the thing is that I think that we could have gotten more Peter, but I also think we got just enough. You know what I mean? In the sense of like, if we would have had that consistent level of Peter that we got in seasons 1, 2, 3 throughout the rest of the show, it would have been enough to like keep us tied to the restaurant. But they started just moving into too many directions, too many wedding seasons and pre-wedding seasons, and it just got a little too mixed up. But we have to remember, in season 8, Peter's birthday party is when all of the pastor fighting happened. And that was wonderful.
Oh my God. I am a fan of Peter too. And yeah, I feel like this thought always comes to my head. Like him and Rachel, whatever you want to call her, in season 10 was clearly a storyline written to like.
Yeah.
I have tea on this.
Oh.
It was, so Peter and Raquel did go out way before filming of the season. He asked her on a date and they went out, and she was not working at SUR because it was not filming time. So distance had happened. She wasn't working there anymore. He asks her out. They end up just being, pals instead. No romance blossoms. And then production found out because there was a blind item about it. And so then they said, can we film a date with you all for the show? And that's why it was even more awkward, because it was just like they were both done, right? Like they were like, well, we already know that nothing's going to happen here. So when he's like, I got to get you those nachos you wanted, he's playing into this idea that like, oh yeah, we're not going on another date. Got to find those nachos for you. And she's like, yeah, nachos. Okay. And it didn't make him look, but of course she still cried on the date and he still like consoled her, but everything afterwards a little awkward.
It was definitely awkward and hard to watch.
Yeah.
And that's, my mind's a little blown from that fact that they actually went on a real date before and they were essentially like forced into this.
Yep. Yeah.
I feel even worse for Peter.
Well, and that's the thing, is like how many situations like that have happened over the years on the show that we don't know about.
Oh, yeah. Any final thoughts, predictions, anything on Villa or anything else?
Villa's gonna do what it needs to do. I hope it gets a season 3. I hope they bring back the old cast. Anyone who says like you can skip season 1, they're wrong. Like season 2 is actually making us realize season 1 had something, even as a clusterfuck of a show that it was. I say definitely go back and watch season 1. The other thing I want to say is, if this episode comes out before May 8th, come to my live show in LA, folks. But we've also got a live show in Boston on June 25th. So I would hope people will go to friendsonly.live and get tickets for both shows. Why not? Just come to both of them, everyone.
Yeah. Why not?
You only live once.
Coastal lifestyle. Do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's going to be great. So I'm really excited for both shows.
And Rob, just remind everyone where they can catch Vanderpump Robs.
Oh, yeah. You can get all of the public episodes wherever you get your podcasts. I don't like to support Spotify, so Apple Podcasts or anything like that works for me. And then you get the extended ad-free and bonus episodes at patreon.com/VanderpumpRobs.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy that we had this convo and we can do it again anytime.
Oh,
Awesome.
we're going to be hitting you up the second Mormon Wives comes back out and being like, Rob, have you started watching? How can we talk about this?
Let's do
Now
it.
that we know you're a fan, that's it. We're locked
Yes,
in.
I'm into
Yes.
it.
Awesome. And yes, don't forget, catch Crime Cocktails and BS anywhere podcasts are, and YouTube if you want to actually watch us make fools out of ourselves on a weekly basis. Thanks again.